Hello, and welcome from the Wild Animal Sanctuary live stream headquarters. This is our third annual live virtual event, and we are so thrilled to be with you tonight. My name is Maria, and I am excited to be your host once again, and this is going to be an exciting night. The Wild Animal Sanctuary is a very special place, doing the work of combating the captive wildlife crisis both here in the U.S. and throughout the world. It is home to hundreds of animals who honestly wouldn't be alive and thriving without it. We are thrilled to share what we've been up to this last year. It's been a doozy. So welcome and buckle up. It's going to be a whirlwind. And as I said, this is our third virtual event, and we are so grateful for your donations. Your donations during the last two virtual events raised over $1.5 million for the animals. So we're excited about what we're going to do together tonight. Our goal tonight is to raise $500,000. So for those of you who are new, or for those of you who would like a refresher on this interactive event, here's how all of this technology works. All right, you'll notice there's a giant scoreboard on the screen right here that will be updated periodically throughout the night as donations come in. There's a donate button on the page you logged into that you can donate, or you can go to the wildanimalsanctuary.org on your computer or mobile device. Just be sure to stay tuned to the live stream, as there is a ton of cool stuff we'll be sharing with you throughout the evening. And we have got a great team right here behind me that is working to produce this event, standing by to record your donations and make sure that you are acknowledged for your gifts. So, let's meet them. We're going to meet them. All right. Tell us your name.
Hi, I'm Michelle.
And what are you doing here, Michelle? What is your thing?
I'm working on the thermometer. So as you can see, it's not always constantly going up with the donations. That's why we make sure all of them come in, are accounted for. And then I send it. And as you can see, it updates the thermometer.
Ooh, look at that. Already we're off to a good start. So thank you for your work. And what is your name?
Hi, Maria. I'm Skylar.
Hi, Skylar. What's your shtick? What are you doing?
What's my shtick? Well, every time someone enters a big donation, I'll be logging it in, and up on the screen you can see an animated picture of your lovely name and then a lovely animal that can be all yours. Adoption with Amy. So
Yay! Yeah. So you can adopt your own animal. Anyway, thank you everybody. It takes this many people to make this all work. So, all right, on with the show. When I said that this last year was a doozy, I wasn't kidding. The Wild Animal Sanctuary has been answering the call to save the lives of captive wild animals in distress for over 40 years. Yet never before has this commitment to caring for animals in need been so strongly called upon than this year. And as always, the sanctuary and you, our supporters, rallied to the cause and made it possible to save hundreds of lives. If you've been following the sanctuary on social media, you've probably seen that since last year, we've nearly doubled in size through the addition of the Wild Horse Refuge in Craig, Colorado, bringing the total number of facilities in our sanctuary network to 4. We'll be hearing reports from each of our facilities. So I'm going to send you over right now to the brand new Wild Horse Refuge, where we've got Austin standing by to share a bit more. Austin?
Hey Maria, thank you so much. This is an amazing event. It's a little cold out here, but can't complain. This is a beautiful, beautiful place I'm at right now. Now, quick history lesson. Several years ago, the state of Colorado reached out to the sanctuary asking if there's anything that can be done for the hundreds of wild mustangs being rounded up and auctioned off. Well, the sanctuary answered that call as well. In a year and a half of looking for the perfect piece of land to house these majestic creatures has landed us here at the Wild Horse Refuge. 22,500 acres of heaven on earth with these beautiful wild mustangs, of which there's nearly 100, and more rescued horses coming soon. So I am so excited and honored to introduce to you the Wild Horse Refuge.
There are tales only the wild ones can tell, of a spirit unbroken, untamed, wild, free, most rugged terrain, knowing no boundary. Where speed, strength, and room to run are the only things that matter. Oh, the spirit of the wild boils hot in these veins. Yet it seems as the world gets a bit more crowded, a bit more busy, a bit more covered in concrete and fence, there seems to be less and less wilderness for these wild ones. The ones who call Colorado's roughest spaces home. So they found their freedom fenced up, hemmed in by bars, rounded up and corralled, their spirit bound tight by no choice of their own. Until today. This, a wild, wild space for the wildest and most free spirits on this earth. Every inch, every acre, every mile, untamed, unfenced, untouched, theirs alone. Moving as the wind guides them, following instinctive paths carved through these canyons and grasslands thousands of years old. Stretching far to the horizon, a place to reclaim their birthright and regain their freedom. It's time for them to regain their freedom.
Thank you, Austin. With the Horse Refuge, the Wild Animal Sanctuary is now made up of 4 different facilities, 3 here in Colorado and 1 in Texas, and now has over 33,000 acres of freedom. We're going to send you to all 4 of the facilities for an update tonight. But of course, none of this would be possible without the donations from people like you. And we are so grateful to have you be a part of our work. So, this year, we invited a few of you, our amazing supporters, to join us by recording messages about why you support the sanctuary and why this mission is so close to your heart. We'll share a few of these segments throughout the evening, so check it out.
Well, why do I support the Wild Animal Sanctuary?
Why do I support the Wild Animal Sanctuary?
I support the sanctuary because of the meaningful work that they do.
Really, it's a special place. It's a very special place.
These animals are going to have the most wonderful lives for the rest of their lives. They're going to be loved and secure. They're never going to be hurt again.
I am never not doing something for the sanctuary. I drag race. I have one of the tigers, Pearl, on my race car.
Supporting the sanctuary's mission has added another purpose to my life.
It gives me satisfaction knowing that I am, making somewhat of a difference, no matter how small.
We are all joined together by this cause and this mission.
The fact that there is such a community that supports the sanctuary, it's actually part of what makes it so special for me.
Knowing that I'm giving it to the kind of people that really do something with the money and they do care.
That just makes my heart so warm.
I wish I could win the lottery so that I could give them more.
I just want to keep going on and on.
Just go on their website and see all the great photos that they have and great stories they have to tell.
There's no other place like this in the whole world.
Hi, my name is Dee.
My name is Barbara.
Hi, my name is Joe.
Hi, I'm Nancy from Northern California, and I support
the Wild Animal Sanctuary.
The Wild Animal Sanctuary.
The Wild Animal Sanctuary.
The Wild Animal Sanctuary, 100%. Rock and roll!
Wow. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of tonight's event and for everything you do for the sanctuary. Your gifts, your support, and most importantly, your love are what create this incredible freedom for these animals and allow us to answer the call and rise to the challenges. So let's take a look at our top donor board right now. It's coming up. It's live TV. Penelope B just gave $500. Thank you very, very much. Patricia F, thank you for giving. And Catherine H. All of these donations mean the world to us, so thank you. All right, now we're going to send you down to the Wild Animal Refuge outside Springfield, Colorado, for a quick report from Taylor about what's happening there. Hey, Taylor, can you hear me?
Hi, Maria, and hello to everyone from the Wild Animal Refuge. It has been a very busy year here at the refuge. We have grown by nearly 100 animals since last year and now have over 250 animals that call this massive refuge home. While we did move a lot of the horses from the Sandwash Basin herd up to the Wild Horse Refuge, we do still have multiple bands of horses that live here in their own area, far, far from the carnivores. These wild horses were rescued from herds in Arizona, Oklahoma, Nevada, and Utah, all over the place. Additionally, we also rescued 2 new cheetahs from Texas, Delilah and Jaina. They love exploring their 85-acre new habitat, and it's been an absolute treat to see them out and about. Our Ukraine lions are also doing well and have grown very comfortable in their massive habitat. If you've recently checked out the Sanctuary's newsletter, you may have heard by now that we have rescued the world-famous Hank the Tank, now known lovingly as Henrietta. She is loving having the space to explore with healthy food and fresh water to play in, and we're very proud to welcome her home to the refuge. Before I go, I do want to say a personal thank you to all of the supporters that visited this year during Founders Day. Being able to talk to you and share this amazing place and all the work we do throughout the year really makes it worthwhile. So thank you for visiting, and we absolutely cannot wait to see you again next year. All right, Maria, back to you.
Thank you, Taylor, for all your hard work and care you give the animals. And thank you to all of the supporters and the founders who visited the refuge. Each one of you is an integral part of our work to combat the captive wildlife crisis, rescuing, healing, and giving a wonderful home to animals that have been trapped in horrible conditions. Yet, you don't have to come visit or even wear orange to be part of this important mission. Let's hear from a few of you about how you are working to combat this crisis.
Rescuing animals is an absolutely monumental task.
There's such a variety of animals.
The word needed to get out there that this was happening.
So we're helping to educate citizens that can make a difference about the terrible situations that people have put animals in.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's focus is just to make sure these animals get the best care possible.
Help them try to understand where those animals came from, see where they're at now.
A lot of them have no clue of what the nature of the captive wildlife crisis. To see the realization sometimes wash over them, where they completely kind of all of a sudden get it.
I share the stories of many of these animals and the overall story of the captive wildlife crisis.
And I wish the crisis would go away, but it's not. And it really does take all of us.
I think as human beings, the way we take care of our animals reflects of what type of person we really are. If we don't have compassion and love and care for our animals, we're certainly not going to have it for our fellow human beings either.
You all are amazing. It's so impressive to see the combined power we have when we work together to inspire those around us with this mission. And of course, thank you to all of you who are donating tonight. As you can see, we have already raised $100,000, over $100,000 tonight. We've got some donations pouring in. Karen E., thank you for your donation. Patricia K., being a big hitter, thank you very much for that. But all of you, Debbie, Karen, Betsy, Kathy, thank you all. Each gift tonight is meaningful and important, and we are so grateful for your help. So that was checking in with our donations. The sanctuary is now the world's largest network of animal sanctuaries, with 3 in Colorado and 1 in Texas. All 4 of our facilities provide homes, healing, and such incredible love to animals in need. So I promised you would hear from all 4 facilities. So let's keep the tour going. I want to send you even further south to Michelle, who's standing by at our Texas facility. Michelle, hello, are you there?
Hi, Maria, and hi, everyone. My name's Michelle. I'm the director here at the Wild Animal Sanctuary, Texas. So here we are home to 69 animals currently. We have tigers, bears, wolves, and smaller animals such as birds and coatimundis. Something really cool about our habitats here is that they are nice, large, and forested. So these animals have plenty of room to climb trees, walk through their meadows, and forage naturally for foods. Another really cool thing about the Texas facility is that we are right next to the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. That is great when it comes to international rescues because they can be brought to the airport for a staging area. We can go over, we can pick them up, and we can bring them to our other 3 facilities for their permanent forever home. In May 2020, we became a part of the Wild Animal Sanctuary Network. And since then, we've been looking to make improvements just left and right anywhere we can. We have brand new freezers, new sorting areas for donations. We're always looking at making sure that the animals' habitats get bigger and better. And we're constantly looking at ways to expand and get new space, more space for all of the animals because they deserve absolutely everything that we can give them. We currently have 7 full-time staff members here that are always taking amazing care of these beautiful animals. And we're actually really excited to give you guys all a look of what we're doing here at the sanctuary. Thank you everybody for joining us on a virtual tour of the Wild Animal Sanctuary, Texas. And just a huge thank you to all of our donors and supporters out there. We would not be able to do any of this without you. We will see y'all later. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you for the Texas report, Michelle. Wow, those trees and the hills, it all looks like paradise for those bears and all the other animals. Keep up the great work. Over the years and through hundreds of rescues, the sanctuary has earned a reputation with state and federal governments, worldwide animal welfare organizations, and global partners for being the most effective animal rescue organization in the world. When things are bad, we are the ones that get the call. It's why we were called in to rescue the hundreds of large cats from the Tiger King show made famous on Netflix. I'm proud to say hundreds of those cats are living lives of freedom at the sanctuary today. The sanctuary specializes in animal rescues, no matter the size, big or small, and we've made a name for handling the most complex rescues on the planet. But honestly, we had never seen anything quite like what happened this last year. So I am going to send you over right now to our beloved Pat Craig, founder and executive director at the Wild Animal Sanctuary, to hear more. Pat.
Thank you, Maria. I'm down here at the Welcome Center, and I'm excited tonight. We love this event. It's a great way to communicate with our donors, and we love everything that you guys do to help us accomplish everything that we are able to accomplish. And so tonight's a special night. It's all about Puerto Rico and the rescue that we did there. It was a monumental rescue for us. You know, we received the call from the Department of Justice back in February of this year, and it was a surprise call. Obviously, we knew about the Puerto Rico Zoo, and we knew the problems, and we knew animals were suffering and dying, and so we were really glad that they were finally going to do something about it. But they were asking us to carry out a monumental mission, and it was very monumental. It was the biggest mission that we've ever done. Obviously, it was an island. We were going to have to do a lot of work to get the animals off. But anyway, we have a rescue story that we want to show you. But before we get to that, I just want to say that, you know, things like this rescue and all the things that we do are really made possible by supporters. So when you watch this show, just make sure you realize how important it was that you ended up helping us to accomplish this rescue. And hopefully you'll enjoy seeing it.
This is a story about saying yes. Yes to whatever comes. Being willing to be our commitment, even in the face of tremendous adversity. Seeing the gap, making ourselves fit no matter the cost. When the call came to remove over 350 animals from the Juan Rivera National Zoo in Puerto Rico, we knew we simply had to go. When you look at these beautiful creatures, it's impossible not to be moved. Such magnificence, such splendor, each one a unique testimony to Mother Nature's creative genius, expression, each shape, each form, each color perfect, innocent, yet trapped behind bars for the entertainment of others who've long since disappeared, caged in spaces not of their choosing, starving, hoping for life in a room with little hope. These aren't the type of animals the sanctuary is known for rescuing. Not anything we've really prepared for. A monumental task, an impossible task. A call that could have easily been ignored. Yet this entire organization, the people, the thousands of supporters, the movement has been built on decades of doing exactly this. Seeing the need. Seeing our place to help, and then diving in and doing what we know we must do, because it's what we were put on this earth to do. And so, we went. This was a place of tremendous meaning for so many people. For thousands of Puerto Ricans, this zoo held a special place in their hearts. Each winding path, each corridor, each small enclosure held so much more than an animal. It represented the idyllic and safe space of childhood memories, where exotic animals took a prominent place in their past. Yet the zoo was not without its dark corners and secrets. For many years, mismanagement and misallocation of funds had cut corners that directly impacted the care of the animals it housed. What had once been a shining jewel of the island had become run down and poorly cared for. More and more animal welfare activists raised the alarm. that something needed to be done to care for the hundreds of animals caged at the zoo. Well, then came the hurricanes, 2 major ones in a single year. The first causing significant damage, the second devastating the small island, leveling buildings, destroying infrastructure, chaos at every level for the small tropical paradise. Nearly every house was damaged in some way, many beyond repair. People's livelihoods, their homes, their future hung in the balance in the wake of the destructive storm. What remained was an economy and a people fighting for their own lives, struggling to hold things together. The Puerto Rico National Zoo was heavily damaged as well, needing millions of dollars in repairs. And in light of this, the U.S. government made the controversial decision to close the zoo, at first temporarily, and then, as time went on, permanently. For over 6 years, the zoo remained closed to the public, with only a skeleton crew of zoo employees to care for the animals. The hurricanes had knocked out power to the zoo, and the workers tried to keep things operating with small generators that failed one by one. Soon, the zoo was reclaimed by nature, became overgrown with vegetation, fences damaged, handrails and exhibits sagging. Animals in cages sweltered in the stifling heat with no fans to cool their concrete homes. Yet many in the community responded with tremendous fervor, requesting that the animals stay on the island. There was one animal in particular that captured everyone's attention: Mundi, the enormous elephant. She was the symbol of the zoo, the animal that everyone who visited as a child remembered. People believed that as long as Mundi remained on the island, the zoo would stay in Puerto Rico. And so some in the community rallied around keeping Mundi in place, doing whatever they could to stall or halt the rescue. Organizing huge protests on social media, plastering the outer walls of the zoo with signs decrying the rescuers. Some even broke into the compound and were arrested for trespassing, doing whatever they could to slow or hamper the progress being made. Yet not everyone on the island thought keeping the zoo open in Puerto Rico was a good idea. Animal lovers and welfare agencies in the community recognized the pain each animal was experiencing and demonstrated their support of the sanctuary and its mission to save each precious life. This was always going to be a tricky political situation, but it also had to be done very quickly. Time was of the utmost importance. Animals were dying almost daily, and so once it was decided the Puerto Rico Zoo was going to be closed and the animals were going to be removed, the Wild Animal Sanctuary sprang into action as quickly as possible. As one of the world's premier animal rescue organizations, the Wild Animal Sanctuary has a reputation for accomplishing massively complex rescues, many times inside of a highly intricate and sensitive environment. The sanctuary has rescued animals from around the globe and made a name for itself by successfully rehousing hundreds of animals made famous in Netflix's Tiger King series. But sometimes being known for what we do is challenging. The successes of the past sets a new standard, giving us the opportunity to take on even greater things in the face of even greater challenges. Relocating 700 animals from the Juan Rivera Zoo in Puerto Rico, locating homes for these dozens of different species with other sanctuaries and refuges would be a monumental challenge. And many times throughout the rescue, homes were secured right as they were needed, with not a moment to spare. Initially, a team of veterinarians and sanctuary medical specialists traveled to Puerto Rico to inspect and test the animals, getting accurate data on which animal was able to travel. What they saw was overwhelming. Animals in horrible health, some unable to walk, many malnourished, unable to stand, unable to eat, dying. As veterinarians went throughout the island, stabilizing those that could be saved, it was clear this was going to be a massive, massive task. The sanctuary staff began coordinating the rescue with other sanctuaries, the Justice Department, and the Puerto Rican government. A massive airlift would require gigantic planes capable of transporting larger animals like the elephant, hippos, and rhino. This was certainly the largest and most complex rescue the sanctuary had ever taken, and was very likely the largest overseas animal rescue in history. Finally, the day came when the first of the animals was set to be rescued. Mara, a beloved chimpanzee, was the first to go. Her iconic role at the zoo had captured the attention of the community, and when the truck headed out to the airport with Mara on board, there were hundreds of protesters at the zoo's entrance. Even though the plan had been to move Mara in secret, leaks on social media outlets had resulted in a very dangerous and tense situation, with cars carrying protesters weaving in and out of the motorcade. Luckily, Mara made it to the airport safely and was soon flown off the island. From then on, there was a constant police presence at the zoo and during the transport of subsequent animals to the airport. And so the sanctuary began working through the zoo, systematically rescuing animals, placing them in special transport crates before transitioning them to the airport. Multiple species-specific professionals and veterinarians were on hand to help transport the animals, each one well acquainted with every animal's needs, ensuring their safety all the way to their new home. The second major airlift was to transport the African lions, 2 black bears, as well as the Sani, the female dromedary camel. Each species comes with its own challenges, yet the years of experience and ingenuity of sanctuary personnel got the job done. Rescuing lions is what the sanctuary does best, and yet the conditions added to the difficulty. Each group of lions was kept in individual exhibits, connected by long concrete runs to a central lion house made of concrete and steel. The fans had long since stopped running, so the rescuers sweltered in the sweatbox, trying to entice each lion to enter the transport cage. With such overwhelming heat, none of the animals were cooperating. So ultimately, the decision was made to gently sedate and crate the lions to avoid them overheating. It also gave the rescuers an opportunity to provide medication and to do veterinary checks on the lions before transporting them. Dasani was next. She'd been moved to her stall in the large barn. On the morning of the rescue, a special crate was placed right outside her stall, and the rescuers tried to entice her in. She wasn't having it at all. Well, at least until a bucket of carrots was produced. Within minutes, Dasani was on her way, happily munching on her goodies. Next was Mikey, the feeble old black bear that was nearly blind. His cage was deep down the jungle, separated a bit from the main zoo. Mikey couldn't see, but luckily he still had his sense of taste. The sugary syrup and gummy worms were exactly what was needed to entice him to start his journey. As the animals were rescued and their crates were loaded, additional trucks were entering the compound, carrying massive crates for the megavertebrates, the hippos, rhino, and of course, Mundi the elephant. Gigantic cranes were used to sling the crates into position, and from then on, all of the larger animals would be fed exclusively in their crates to help them grow accustomed. With the lions, the camel, the 2 bears, and a few smaller animals loaded, the rescuers again headed to the airport. Protesters were lined up outside the gate, yet this time over 20 police officers on motorcycles cleared the way, leapfrogging ahead of the speeding motorcade to close intersections and to block on-ramps to the highway, ensuring the safe passage of the animals and rescuers to the airport. Soon, all the animals were on board and headed to the Wild Animal Sanctuary in Colorado. When they arrived, they were placed in small temporary enclosures where they would receive medical treatment and be given time to acclimate to their new environment before being released into larger habitats that would soon become their forever home.
First off, we need to apologize. A live stream went down. We had some technical difficulties, but I'm excited to say hopefully we have you all back. And just wanted to do a couple shout outs. Daniela K giving $2,500. We all love you at the sanctuary. Everybody was like, oh, Daniela K. So thank you for that. And Karen L just taking a huge stride for us with a $22,000 donation. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. As you can see, the Puerto Rico rescue was incredibly challenging and complex. We wanted you to hear tonight from the actual rescuers who were on the ground at the zoo. So we invited a group of them to share their experiences. And here they are.
When we got there, the zoo truly looked like a scene out of Jurassic Park. You just couldn't believe that this was really how they were all living.
Overgrown trees and branches and everything tearing stuff down. The waters were disgusting. Like you couldn't even see animals in the water.
Just the oppressive heat and the sound.
I mean, it was muddy.
It was muddy and it just looked all just torn down. And
I was surprised to see that some of the fences and the structures and stuff were dilapidated and broken. And
they were held together by twine. There was literally baling twine holding together a lot of them.
There was no shelter for some of the animals.
You just had a crazy amount of animals that that's how they lived. They just made their own habitats, basically.
I think that's what the craziest part of this whole thing is, that all the different species that we had to deal with. These are just the lucky ones, right? Because how many died before we got there? I just know it was one of the hardest things I ever done in my life. So sad.
It truly was the most mind-blowing experience.
We're there for days in preparation, and then all of a sudden loading day comes and you can't load ahead of time because of the heat out in Puerto Rico. So everything is prep. All right, now it's loading day. We've got 6 hours to load 80 animals.
Because it was a dungeon where the lions were constantly inside. It was so dark and humid and hot.
And so we had lifted the gate, the drop gate, and Lee's up there holding it for like an hour. Like it was 110 degrees on the ground, and then she's up on top of the cage and she's just like sweating.
I think you're so focused on like the task at hand, what you're doing, getting them out of that situation.
I think probably my favorite was the bear, because he was just being such a sweet, agreeable old man. He loved, what was it we brought for him? The Fruity Pebbles syrup. Yeah. He loved that, and Oreos. And then even better if you dipped the Oreos in the Fruity Pebbles syrup.
I had to catch an owl and it just flew into my chest. I just went like this.
I was like blown away how you did it really well catching those birds.
We were catching these really large king vultures, and they're huge. And I was the first one in. I had the carrier. Well, one of them got really mad and decided the second I walked through, it was coming for my face.
They did us the great pleasure of moving the spider monkeys to this room where they had like 30-foot tall ceilings and netting. So now the spider monkeys can climb on the ceilings with no problems. And I'm not that tall.
The Barbary sheep all at once just like rush into one corner and then rush into the other.
Yeah, one of them had a baby that Monica and I found the night before, or the day before, and it wasn't nursing. So then we'd have to catch the mom to help the baby nurse. A few of us had this orange netting and we were trying to like corner her. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna catch her. Like if she's coming at me, I'm gonna do what I can to catch her. She used me as a springboard right here, and she got past me and I went flying.
I was so proud to be part of such an incredible team. And I know it's hard, and I know it's not easy, and I know there's really hard days. But then you start seeing the videos and the stories and remembering these moments, and then you're just like, this is what I'm here for in this world, making a difference. So
John and I are the camera crew that, documents, this amazing work that the sanctuary does, and being a part of this amazing team and being there with them it really just hits you hard in the heart. Like animals' lives that we get to see completely transform.
Really, it's the end result that makes it all worth it.
To take them from that place and get them out here and watch them grow, that's just been so rewarding and so glad that I got to be a part of it. So.
For many months, the sanctuary continued rescuing animals from the zoo. Luckily, the sanctuary wasn't entirely alone in this effort. Multiple rescue agencies, animal specialists, shipping and logistics coordinators partnered together to create a coalition focused on the safe transport of these animals from the Puerto Rico Zoo. Yet through it all, the sanctuary bore the brunt of the effort and all of the expense. For several weeks, the rescuers prepared to move the most challenging and largest animals. The stakes were incredibly high. Each of the massive creatures needed to be enticed into their crates the day of the rescue. They were too big to be moved any other way. If they didn't go, the rescue would fail. There was a massive and very expensive cargo plane chartered to leave Puerto Rico early the next morning. It would leave with or without the animals. There'd simply be no second chance. On May 12, 2023, the zoo was overrun by security teams, and a select group of vetted journalists were allowed on the compound. Everyone was on edge. The zoo was filled with activity and bustle, with heavy equipment preparing crates and trucks for transportation. Everywhere, that is, except for Mundy's compound. You see, elephants are smart. Like, really smart. They have incredible hearing, and Mundy, well, she was a very social elephant. She loved connecting with humans and interacting with the rescue workers. Weeks earlier, her crate had been placed at the main entrance of her enclosure. And for several days, the elephant expert Carol Buckley had spent significant time getting to know Mundy, earning her trust and preparing her to step inside the crate for her journey. For several days, Mundy comfortably entered the crate again and again with no fear, eating directly from Carol's hand. Everything looked like it was going to go smoothly the day of the rescue. Protesters became more and more desperate to keep Mundy from leaving the island. They declared on social media, "We have to scare Mundy so she won't enter the crate." They proposed banging on pots and pans from the road to impact her nerves. Several drones were flown into Mundy's area of the zoo, terrifying her. And one night, as Mundy was standing in her crate, someone snuck in and shot her in the back with a large pellet gun or rubber bullet. Mundy's nerves were frayed. She didn't trust the crate. She didn't trust Carol, and she wasn't excited about going anywhere. So in the early morning hours, the entire area of the zoo around Mundy's compound was blocked off. No one outside of the small rescue team was allowed in the area, since Mundy could easily hear any disturbance from a great distance. As Carol worked throughout the day with Mundy, other teams of rescuers began preparing to capture the hippos and rhino in their crates. The hippos had been closed in their feeding area, and 2 custom-made crates were placed end to end in the muddy yard, so that when they left, they'd have to exit through the crates. The far end of the crates were open so they could see daylight. A sanctuary rescue worker climbed on top of the crates, ready to drop heavy steel bars into place once the hippos were in the crates, hoping they'd hold until the permanent crate doors were closed. Reporters and onlookers surrounded the hippo compound, and then the gate was opened. After a few moments of hesitation, first one, and then the second hippo climbed into the crates, and within moments, they were secured. The crates were then lifted out of the compound to be loaded on the waiting trucks. Felipe was next, the gentle and giant rhino. He'd grown very fond of his crate, and not only entered it to eat the food that was presented there, but actually spent most of his day hanging out in the shade. Getting him in would be no problem. Getting the crate secured, however, would be much more of a challenge. Rhinos are strong, and Felipe had the ability to break the temporary bars that would hold him until the crate door was closed. Sanctuary personnel and veterinarians hid out of sight, as one of his trusted feeders presented him with some new tasty treats. Once Felipe came inside, the team sprang into action, dropping the temporary bars into place, scrambling to get the crate door closed as Felipe struggled. And then finally, it was done. and Felipe and the hippos were parked in the shade where they were given food, continually monitored, and sprayed with cool water. Through all these hours, Carol continued working with Mundy, trying to entice her into the crate. A small team of rescuers remained hidden out of sight, ready to close the massive steel gate behind her. It would take at least 3 strong men to move the gate, and for hours they waited, hiding, hoping Mundy would step inside. Yet the crate was emotionally tied to the intense trauma of the memory of the night she was shot in the back. Hours and hours passed. Nothing. Mundy would periodically step her feet into the crate, reaching out her long trunk for the food Carol held. Yet she'd never go any further than just putting a foot inside. She could smell the men hiding out of sight and reached her trunk around to see if she could feel them. As the day wore on, the tension heightened, and Mundy could feel the emotions and stress around her. Her apprehension grew by the hour as the sun began to set. It seemed all was lost unless something happened soon. A decision was made by the world-renowned elephant veterinarian on site to give Mundy a sedative, one that wouldn't put her to sleep, but rather would just calm her nerves. The only issue was in the middle of Mundy's compound was a pond. If she stumbled in her drowsy state, she might fall in and harm herself. And so Carol turned her attention away from the crate and brought her into the giant elephant barn, working to entice Mundy into a familiar space. A few tense moments later, and Mundy was safely blocked in the barn she knew so well. The veterinarian administered the sedative, and soon a soothing calm washed over Mundy. She felt safe, warm, and at peace. Her crate was moved into place right outside the barn. And finally, after 16 long hours of effort, Mundy gently stepped inside. She was loaded onto the truck by the giant crane and began her slow journey out through the winding roads of the zoo. Hundreds of people waited by the entrance. In the darkness, police lights from the massive security convoy flashed out. And Mundy, the hippos, and the rhino exited the zoo for the very last time. Thousands of people lined the highways between the zoo and the airport, taking pictures, gathering to wish Mundy well on her journey to her new home. Early the next morning, the giant cargo plane took off with a massive load of the precious animals bound for Florida. From there, Mundy, the hippos, and rhino were loaded into a line of waiting trucks bound for their new homes in Georgia and Texas.
That is an incredibly huge undertaking. That is just so exciting to watch. And it has inspired some huge donations. Sue N with $20,000. And we want to say thank you, Sue, for supporting the sanctuary so faithfully and beautifully all these years. And then wait for it. Helena A just donated $140,000. So thank you, Helena, for that. Can we give a cheer for Helena? Right. So that took our number up to over 358,000. But I just want to take a second to say, I'm just so excited looking at all the latest donations. You know, people giving 5,000. There was some 7,700, but the ones that touched me too are $50 here, $30 here. Do you know, sometimes that's all that we can do, and all of that together makes this number great. So thank you to every single donor, no matter what the amount. But we do like 140,000. That was pretty good. All right. So back to our Puerto Rico event. It is not over. Back to hear more about it. Here we go.
The relief in getting Mundy and the other large animals off the island was palpable. For a moment, the rescuers were able to breathe a little more freely, but it was just a moment of relief. The greatest number of animals still remained, Over the course of the next few months, the rescuers continued working through the zoo, preparing the animals to be transported in several additional massive airlifts. Each day brought new challenges to overcome, like the dozens of animals rescued from Lemur Island. The only access to the small island was a rickety homemade raft that was pulled hand over hand with a rope tied to the shore. As the weeks passed, more and more animals were able to safely leave Puerto Rico for their new homes. To add to the complexity of the main rescue, the Puerto Rican government had also requested the sanctuary be responsible for the removal of hundreds of animals from a detention center in Cambalache, about 3 hours away. Once intended as an animal rehabilitation center, the detention center had soon become a holding place for exotic animals who'd been removed from homes or suffering from disease were confiscated by authorities. Hundreds of monkeys, alligators, caiman, snakes, birds, and turtles were crammed into the rusted and rotting prison and lived out the rest of their lives in dirty squalor. The conditions were horrible, and little care was given to the animals that lived and died there. Each cage was overcrowded and desperately inadequate to house the animals. As the sanctuary began the process of removing the animals, it became clear that this alone would represent a monumental and heart-rending task. Plywood boxes were opened, each containing hundreds of massive snakes, intertwined and writhing like something out of a horror film. Rhesus monkeys, infected and dangerous to the rescuers, threatened the safety of everyone on the site. And then there was the pool. A small concrete child swimming pool dominated the center of the compound, its murky water obscuring what lay beneath it. As rescuers began to explore the pool to see if any animals were contained within its depths, they made the horrifying discovery that over 50 caiman called it home. They, along with many turtles, were stacked on top of one another all the way to the muddy depths. They'd been surviving by consuming the arms and legs and bodies of one another. The entire bottom of the pool was covered in more than a foot of mucky sludge, of bones and remains of those who hadn't survived. For nearly 8 hours, the rescuers worked tirelessly, dredging the pool and methodically removing caiman, alligators, giant turtles from the depths. Snakes were gently entangled from the plywood boxes, and crate after crate were loaded into the trucks for transport to the main zoo. All told, over 350 animals were removed from the detention center, massively increasing the number of animals the sanctuary was responsible for. Back at the zoo, the teams of rescuers systematically captured and created dozens of other species, preparing for the largest airlift yet. Emus, ostrich, parrots, raccoons, and even a lungfish were placed in custom containers designed to comfortably transport the animals to their new homes. Vultures, storks, and dozens of other birds were captured and put in custom crates and loaded. Disease and infection for both the animals as well as the rescuers remained a constant threat, and health and safety protocols were implemented, sometimes requiring rescuers to wear hazmat suits or create bioprotection protocols. The sanctuary invented highly ingenious series of quarantine processes in accordance to health guidelines to process the massive number of primates to ensure their cages were clean and they were cared for with the utmost love and compassion. Soon the parking lot of the zoo was covered with hundreds of crates containing over 296 animals. The spectacle of each crate lovingly loaded onto the truck brought tears to the eyes of the rescuers, as this represented the single largest number of animals rescued at one time, a powerful testimony to the love every single person involved in the rescue felt for every single being inside those crates. Soon, every crate was loaded on the trucks and the convoy headed out once again, bound for the airport. Police officers again cleared the path, closing intersections and providing safe passage for the animals and rescuers to the airport. Upon arrival, forklifts transitioned the larger animals and crates to the loading dock. Employees from the shipping company, sanctuary personnel, airport personnel, and even law enforcement officers all pitched in as well, carrying the smaller crates with snakes, caiman, birds, turtles carefully across the pavement to the loading dock. The crates piled higher and higher on the loading dock, bearing tremendous witness to the monumental task that had just been accomplished, and moments later were quickly loaded into the air-conditioned plane. Over the course of the next few weeks and months, the sanctuary mopped up the final few animals left on the island. And then one day, it was all over. The rescuers boarded the last plane out of Puerto Rico, headed back home to Colorado.
The donors' role was huge. If it wasn't for them, none of us would have been able to be there for those animals.
I think the huge thing that our donors allowed us to do was to do it properly. This could have been done in theory by like a military group that shows up and the whole thing's done in 3 days. And who cares what you do along the way, how many lives you lost, you just gotta clear the zoo. But we were able to go there and do this the right way for the animals.
I think what makes it worthwhile is, seeing them go from where they were to what they deserve. There is no reason why any of these animals should have to live in those conditions. They should be able to just be what they are and be who they are. And that's what makes it worthwhile. It doesn't matter how many hours or what the temperature is or anything, it's what they deserve.
I remember Monica and I driving after all the animals were loaded on the back of 4 flatbed semis, and we were headed to the airport, and both her and I are crying because we'd pull out to the side a little bit and you can see just 300 animals just driving to freedom.
Just seeing these animals in such a horrible places and just to be able to give them a better life and just be there for them. It doesn't matter what it takes. And you're just like, this is what I'm here for in this world, making a difference, so.
Wow, just watching that again is amazing to even me, because we were there for so many weeks working so hard, and everybody just really put their heart and soul into that rescue. And of course, as you could see, it was a monumental task. It involved so much time and money and effort by everybody. You know, we don't take on rescues that we can't do. Obviously, we can do all the work that you saw that us accomplish. It was the largest rescue we've ever done, and obviously, your donations helped us get there. But at the same time, you know, we used every ounce of what was given to us to accomplish it. And thankfully, the support that you did give us got us through the mission. But at the same time, it left us more or less empty in the sense of our normal reserves that we do keep for the next rescue. And so tonight, one of our goals is to really replenish that fund, because that's such a crucial part of what we do. When we get the call, we know that we have the money there that we can make for flights, for the costs that are all involved. And without that, you know, we really would have to probably say no and tell somebody, I'm sorry, we just don't have the reserves right now. So tonight is a really special ask from me to you to say, please help us replenish that fund and get it back up so that the next call we can say yes and we know that we can help the animals. So if you can help us, I really would appreciate it. Thank you very much. Back to you, Maria.
Oh, Pat, thank you so much for being the heart and the backbone of this place. Thank you for everything you and your team did this last year for those animals. It was incredible. We wanted to talk about the top donors before we finish. Look at this. We wanted to get to 500,000. And it looks like we're going to reach our goal, which is amazing. And I just lost the leaderboard, but you got to see it. But thank you, everybody, for really helping us take those large strides that we need to get where we want to go. We at the Sanctuary, we're just proud to be the ones called upon to save all of these precious lives, and we take that call very seriously, whether it's the federal government, animal welfare agencies, or even other countries in need. The Sanctuary has proven to be a reliable and trustworthy partner, and handling the most logistically complex with rescues with precision and accountability and effectiveness. And tonight, we're asking you to help us not only cover the cost of massive efforts like the Tiger King and Puerto Rico Zoo rescues, but also to prepare the way for smaller rescues where it's just 1 or 2 animals. Each animal's life is of value, has worth, and has incredible meaning. And we get that you, our donors, understand that just as much as we do. So thank you for your support. And as Pat said, the Sanctuary has a commitment to never take on more than we can handle. And yes, some rescues require a lot more resources than others. Yet every time we are faced with what at first might seem to be an impossible task, you are the ones who answer the call, preparing us to be ready to be in action if at all possible. Your gift tonight is what saved the lives of all those Mustangs, of Mundy, of the hippos and the monkeys and birds, but it's also what prepares us to be ready to answer the next call, prepared to meet the next disaster, ready to save the life of an animal who simply wouldn't make it without your help.
This is a story about saying yes. Yes to whatever comes. Living our commitments, even in the face of tremendous adversity. Seeing the gap and making ourselves fit, no matter the cost. Because it's no small thing to be the one that answers the call, to be the one that saves another. Being willing to stand courageously at the crossroads of these magnificent animals' lives, bravely declaring that this is our responsibility, our cause, our mission, our opportunity to do what we were put on this earth to do. Planting the flag, rallying others to the cause, creating the space of freedom for those who need it the most. Yet it wasn't us who saved these animals. It was you.
We firmly believe that animals are here with us, not for us.
supporting the sanctuary is in sort of in a sense a duty as a citizen of planet Earth.
It really is a global effort and a community effort.
We can't tolerate that kind of abuse, kind of neglect.
These animals are all so brave. They just endure it day after day after day. And then all of a sudden, all these people in orange come, and suddenly their lives are better.
To see them experience that joy of not being confined anymore and to walk on the grass and to have the fresh air.
I think it's such a privilege to be able to watch these majestic creatures do whatever they want to do.
It's always a humbling experience when they look into your eyes.
It's amazing to me. You can almost see the smiles on the animals' faces.
They're just being the way they should be.
I'm struck that I am breathing the same air that these animals are.
We need help from everyone.
We're not funded by anyone other than you and me and anybody who comes to visit.
It goes beyond the wonderful animals that are there today to hopefully preventing ever having to rescue any more animals.
The real question in my mind is, how can you not want to support something as special as the Wild Animal Sanctuary?
I'm sorry, I get all emotional about it, but anyway, it's given me more satisfaction to be a part of the Wild Animal Sanctuary than anything else I've ever done.
We simply could not do all of this without your help. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything you are doing, both tonight and throughout the year, to help us combat the captive wildlife crisis and to help us prepare for the next call. Your gifts tonight and in the days to come are what save these animals' lives today and long into the future. And this last year, you helped save over 700 lives. You are amazing, and we thank you, and we are honored to stand beside you. So we're going to keep the live stream going for the next hour or so you can have a chance to help us meet our goal. As you can see, we have raised $427,799. Let's get that number up, and let us again thank our top donors. Let's see our board if we can. Thank you to everyone so much, and have a wonderful night. All right, everybody, we reached our goal. There was, yes, thank you. There was a large assist from John and Ann. Do we have our top donor board? Can we see that? It's exciting. But anyway, thank you guys so much, everybody who's still watching. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We had more issues. There it is, John and Ann. Oh, thank you so much. That's a thing of beauty. And here we are at $559.76. But keep it coming. We can use every dollar. So if you're still on the fence, please donate. Thanks.